During her appearance on Angel Reese's podcast, Lisa Leslie is asked if there is anything she would like me to work on as the show enters its second year. She has a to-do list, and it has already written out, your layup, suck your layup. You can't finish, 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 you can't. Chicago, but I'm just telling you that you were ready for season 2. Thank you. From WNBA legends mocking her layups to low viewership, Reese's attempt to remain relevant is backfiring in the most embarrassing way possible. You won't believe what her own mentor, Lisa Leslie, had to say about her game. Stay tuned as we dive into this train wreck that has the basketball world buzzing. Are you ready? Let's go. You know what? Wild Angel Reese can't seem to shake off Caitlin Clark's shadow even on her own turf. Fans get a glimpse into her life outside of the court, but it's turned into an unexpected comedy of errors. Every episode, regardless of who is sitting across from her or what topic they begin with, somehow circles back to the one and only Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, on the unapologetic clout chasing of Caitlin Clark podcast, which is hosted by Angel Reese. It's as if Clark has turned into this invisible guest star that Reese is unable to avoid. Is it the guests who keep bringing her up, or is Reese unconsciously guiding the ship towards Clark? We must wonder what's really going through Reese's mind. Is it a case of intense rivalry, secret admiration, or is Clark simply that dominant in women's basketball right now? When you say, oh my goodness, Cheryl doesn't like her, I think, let's see what this is about. All of that is stupid, in my opinion, and it's not true. It's all stupid. They might get upset when I say this, though, because I find it amusing when I look at the number 22S in the league, such as I was 22, Asia's 22, Caitlin's 22, or I was 20. Let's break it down, family. We're witnessing this pattern play out episode after episode. 1 minute, Reese is talking about her favorite pregame rituals, and then all of a sudden, someone is raving about Clark's most recent record-breaking performance. It's almost hilarious how predictable it has become, and fans on social media are having a field day suggesting that the podcast should be renamed The Caitlin Clark Show, hosted by Angel Reese because of women's basketball. You've stated in interviews that there is no beef, but the media persists. So what do you think? It's crazy. But here's where it gets interesting. This Clark-centric content may actually be helping Reese. Every time Clark's name is mentioned, it draws more attention to Reese's podcast. And basketball analysts are noticing that Reese's attempts to highlight her own journey are frequently overshadowed by discussions of Clark's accomplishments. I believe that simply being able to be in that moment of it happening might change your life forever. Do you think people like Caitlin Clark, besides her skills, she can shoot from a logo, which is why I love Steph Curry. I love Steph Curry because I've never seen that before. You have to wonder what this is doing to Reese's image and the goals she had for her podcast. Did she set out to create a platform where she would constantly be compared to Clark, or is this just an unexpected twist in the Angel Reese story? There's a fine line between staying relevant and becoming obsessed, and it's difficult to tell which side Reese is currently on. Are you prepared to hear what Reese's so-called mentor has to say? The latest episode of Angel Reese's podcast took an unexpected turn when WNBA legend Lisa Leslie appeared. Fans likely expected some lighthearted banter and perhaps a few nuggets of wisdom, but instead, they got a front row seat to what can only be described as a public roasting session. Leslie, who is apparently not one for sugarcoating, decided to keep it real, and I mean really real, going in my... Leslie, a two-time WNBA champion and arguably one of the most dominant players in women's basketball history, didn't waste any time getting to the point where she looked Reese in the eye and dropped this truth bomb. The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period. How would you describe it? Well, can you imagine sitting there trying to host your own show while your basketball idol essentially tells you that your fundamental skills need improvement? Serious work, but wait, it gets better or worse depending on how you look at it. I mean, it's more than a fact that she is not good at lives. But I was looking at her stats, and I wrote some down right here. She shoots a pitiful 39% from the field and shot below 50% on shots that are less than 5 feet away, which is bad. Even worse, she shot 133% on shots from 5 to 9 feet. Leslie didn't stop there. She went full statistician on us, pointing out that Reese averaged a pitiful 39. For those of you who don't know, she shot just 1% from the field in her debut season. Basketball nerds, that's not great, especially when you consider that Reese was shooting less than 50% of her shots from less than 5 feet from the rim, which is equivalent to missing half of your shot right at the rim. With everyone watching her, I believe she realizes that she needs to completely restructure her form, because that is not the way to be efficient in the post position that she is in. At the post position that she is in, a layup should be a given, but she needs to improve her touch around the rim like everywhere. Now, picture this scene. You can't help but notice the awkward tension in that studio, which must have been thick enough to cut with a knife. Remember, this is the same Angel Reese who was accused of stat padding all season long to the point that her coach was fired. Kennedy Carter even roasted her on her way out of Chicago. Kennedy Carter Instagram account right here, guys, and I'm here to tell you that she has been going on a low rant all night long. She's probably sweating bullets trying to keep her cool as Leslie keeps delivering these harsh truths. Said, I think the ability to consistently make layups just puts anyone in a different tier. So important to score easy. Now, many people are assuming that this tweet is directed at Angel Reese. The problem with professional athletes is that they love to spoil things on social media, and when it comes to the Chicago Sky, Carter just turned the heat up to boiling point. You know those ambiguous tweets that make you wonder, what's the real story? Well, Carter dropped a doozy that had everyone figuring out what was going on quickly. Having trouble making layups all season. We're talking about a 42% success rate. Reese only managed to sink 136 out of 321 attempts, which is not only bad, but it's also the worst in the WNBA. As I've been telling you guys, she has been making it her mission to sneak this Angel Reese whenever she gets the chance, and now that she's been cut, it looks even more obvious. Someone said, LOL, you're down. This tweet just appeared here, and someone attempted to defend her because we know she's a free agent, so if you throw teammates under the bus is going to hurt you even more. But wait, there's more. When a fan posted a graphic with these layup percentages, Carter couldn't help but comment. For those who don't know how to use Twitter, you nailed it. This public criticism goes beyond Reese's layups and shooting percentages. It addresses more general issues with her style of play and approach to the game. When someone of Leslie's caliber takes the time to thoroughly discuss your shortcomings, it's an indication that these problems are more than just rookie jitters or minor flaws. Has anyone brought this up with Angel Reese? Between the ages of 17 and 23, so whenever she would meet a legend or a player in the WNBA, instead of saying, hey Angel, let me talk to you real quick, you guys would just do this again because it's okay. However, you have to wonder what this does to Reese's relationship with Leslie. Is it the end of a mentorship, or could it be the wake-up call that Reese sorely needs? After all, when a legend like Lisa Leslie tells you to fix something, you'd better listen. However, this wasn't the first time someone called Reese in her own show. If you thought Angel Reese's podcast could get any more awkward, then along came Shaquille O'Neal, her self-described father figure. However, after Leslie's criticism, Shaq came prepared to deliver some truth bombs of his own. And let me tell you, these weren't your typical fatherly nuggets of wisdom. She can't be a rookie year because all she does is get the flip shots? Remember all that? Well, for Angel Reese, it turned into a bit of a nightmare. O'Neal didn't just critique her game, he went full savage mode, leaving Reese and her fans were shocked. You know who you are. You're the female Antoine Jamison. You know who Antoine Jamin is. He scored 200 points with his shot. Whatever your shot is like, everyone's shot isn't going to be Steph Curry's. Your shot is your shot. Let's begin with the comparison that left everyone stunned. Shay likened Angel to, wait for it, Anton Jamison. If you're wondering who he is, you're not alone. Jamison had a good NBA career, but he's not exactly Hall of Fame material. This comparison wasn't just unexpected. It was a sobering reminder to Reese, who has likely been wishing he were a GOAT. O'Neal said, without holding back, that's a sting, especially coming from a guy who dominated the paint like nobody's business. He called her Antoine Jamison. And most people believe me when I say that she was offended. She's a basketball fan, so she probably does. But Antoine Jamison isn't breaking anyone's top 200 in NBA history. And this woman believes she's one of the best WNBA players or women's basketball players of all time. What's crazy is that this public roasting session wasn't just Shaq being Shaq, it was his way of giving Reese a wake-up call. O'Neal's tough love approach is legendary, and he obviously believes that Reese has the potential to be great, but potential doesn't mean squat if you're not willing to put in the work and address your weaknesses. Shaq told Reese to stop comparing herself to others, but he was the one who brought up the Jamison comparison. It seems like he's saying that you're not as good as you think you are. Legend, you remind me of Antoine Jamison. He's a nice player who scored 0 points, but no one really knows him. I believe Antoine played at North Carolina. Anyhow, Shaq slams Angel Reese in the face. This whole situation puts Reese in a difficult situation because on the one hand, she has one of the greatest centers of all time showing interest in her career, which is huge. But on the other hand, having your flaws exposed on your own podcast must be humbling, to put it mildly. The funny thing is, though, this episode may be just what Angel Reese needs.